This is the surrender prayer. Dear God, I am powerless and my life is unmanageable without your help and guidance. I come to you today because I believe that you can restore and renew me to meet my needs today. Since I cannot adequately manage my life or affairs, I have decided to give them to you. I put my life, my will, my thoughts, my desires, and my ambitions into your hands. I give you all of me, the good and the bad, the character defects and shortcomings, my selfishness, my resentments, and all my problems. I know that you will work them out in accordance with your plan. Such as I am, take and use me in your service. Guide and direct my ways, and show me what to do for you. I cannot control or change my friends' ones, so I release them into your care, for your loving hands to do with as you will. You keep me loving them and free from judging them. If they need changing, God, you will have to do it. I can't. Just make me willing and ready to be of service to you, to have my shortcomings removed, and to do my very best. Help me to see how I have harmed others and to make me willing to make amends to you and to them. Keep me ever mindful of thoughts and actions that harm myself and others and that separate me from your light, from your love and your spirit. And when I commit these errors, make me aware of them and help me to recognize each one promptly. I am seeking to know you better and to love you more. I am seeking the knowledge of your will for me and the power to carry it out. That is just a beautiful prayer, if you really think about it. Just beautiful. Hi, y'all. This is Lori with Reality Smack. I'm going to cover tonight steps 6 and 7 together, because the both of them sort of go together as a combo. They could be considered one step together, but I see why they separate it, but I'm going over them together just because it makes a whole lot more sense going over them together as a set. Step 6 is we were entirely ready to have God remove all defects of our character. Okay. It says, why ask for something before we are ready for it? This would be asking for trouble. So many addicts have sought the rewards of hard work without the labor. Willingness is what we strive for in step 6. How sincerely we work this step will be proportionate to our desire for change. Do we want to be rid of our resentments, our anger, and our fear? Many of us cling to our fears, our doubts, our self-loathing, our hatred, because there are certain distorted securities in familiar pain. It feels safer to embrace what we know than to let go of it for something we don't know. This is very true. You get into patterns of behavior. All people do. They have their own defects, their own problems. Everybody has their own problems. And a lot of it creates the desires within you. The reasons why addicts use, as we were talking about in previous steps, are those defects of characters. Your desire to be happy, your desire to be loved, your desire to feel whole, your desire for feeling like you're in control of something, feeling like you're not nervous, feeling like you have the power to do anything. And drugs can make you feel that way. And there's a lot of things in life that can make you feel that way. But when you don't have a sense of where those desires are coming from, you're not in control of your life. Your desires are, if that makes sense. And people need to be aware of why they behave the way they do in order to make smarter decisions in life. This doesn't just apply to drug addicts. This could apply to anybody. That's why this stuff is so, this knowledge in these NA books it's golden. It's really golden. It's good for anybody. Letting go of character defects should be done decisively. We suffer because their demands weaken us. Yeah, our demands weaken us. That makes us dependent upon our desires. When we were proud, we now find that we cannot get away with arrogance. If we are not humble, we are humiliated. If we are greedy, we find that we are never satisfied. Before taking steps 4 and 5, we can indulge in fear, anger, dishonesty, and self-pity. Now, indulgence in these character defects clouds our ability to think logically. Selfishness becomes an intolerable destructive chain that ties us into bad habits, and our defects drain us of all our time and energy. How true is that? Addictions to caffeine will drain you of your energy. Addictions to television will rob you of your time. Addictions to gaming can do the same thing, rob you of time, energy, money, self-esteem, because you get so sucked into whatever it is that's giving you that fix in the moment that you're not in control of your life anymore. The desire is those defects of character within yourself. That's what's in charge. In the Bible, it would be referred to as sin, or your psychological ego, if you've ever, not ego, your psychological id, as they put it in psychology manuals. There's this thing they call the psychological id. It's your primitive urge or desire for self-gratification. That's what the psychological id is. The ego would be the opposite of that. That's why I accidentally said it backwards. The ego would be the part of you that tries to make sense of the world and make good choices. That would be the opposite. Okay. Step 7, and this is why I put them together. Step 7 says, we humbly ask him, meaning, the God of your understanding, ask him to remove our shortcomings. Character defects or shortcomings are those things that cause pain and misery in all of our lives. If they contributed to our health and happiness, we would not have come to such a state of desperation. We had to become ready to have God as we understood him to remove these defects. Having decided that we want God to relieve us of uselessness or destructive aspects of our personalities, we have arrived at the 7th step. We couldn't handle the ordeal of life all by ourselves. It wasn't until we made a real mess of our lives that we realized that we couldn't handle life alone. By admitting this, we achieved a glimpse of humility. This is the main ingredient of step 7. Humility is a result of getting honest with ourselves. We have practiced being honest since step 1. We have accepted that our addiction and powerlessness, we have found a strength beyond ourselves and learned to rely on it. We examined our lives and discovered who we really are. We try to be humble, to accept and honestly try to be ourselves. None of us is perfectly good or perfectly bad. We're people, humans, who have assets and liabilities. Most importantly, we are all human. Humility is much a part of staying clean as food or water are to staying alive. As our addiction progressed, we devoted our energy towards satisfying our material desires. All other needs were beyond our reach. We always wanted gratification of our basic desires. The 7th step is an action step. It is time to ask God for help and relief. We have to understand that our way of thinking is not the only way. Other people can give us direction. When someone points out a shortcoming, our first reaction may be to be defensive. We have to realize that we're not perfect. There'll always be room for growth. That's the thing. You have to rely on a God of your own understanding. However you envision God in your head, and everybody has a different concept of that. But you have to release the fact that you feel like you have to be in control all the time. You have to realize you have to ask him to help you. And I'm not saying just ask God to help you and then don't row for the shore. There's some work involved there. He's not going to just give it to you. I mean, it's hard work. It's hard work not to use drugs if you're an addict, and it's hard work for the average human not to sin. There are parallels here. That's why I say a lot of this stuff could apply to people that aren't addicts in their own lives if they really think about it. It's very deep to me, and reading it has really affected me. And it's really, it hits you right here in the heart, and you feel like it connects with you on a deeper level if you really stop and think and read about it, and how much better your life can be if you follow the 12 steps in your life, even if you're not an addict. Think about if everybody in the world released their feeling of control over all of their decisions and meditated and thought it through and tried to make amends to the people they've hurt, and to realize where their desires are coming from and why they make certain decisions. You know, people that overeat, why are you overeating? Is it really because the food tastes that good, or are you fulfilling some other hidden need, some insecurity, or are you feeding your emotions? People that are into plastic surgery, is it that you feel so insecure about who you are on the inside that you feel you have to build up your outside in order to prove your worth? Somebody that's addicted to material things, that has to have the best cars and the best furniture and the fancy house. It's like, are you addicted to having people say nice things about you and having that reputation of being the person with the fancy car and the nice house? That you want to feel that attention. You've attached worth to that. Your self-worth is tied into those things. And when you realize that's why you're wanting these things, that your greed, your desire, your insecurities, your psychological id, that your inner sinful self, that's what's promoting your decisions. That's why that's happening. It's deep. It's deep when you think about it. It really is. But that's just something to think about with steps 6 and 7. I urge y'all to really think about your actions. You know, when at night, when you get home from work, think about what you do every day and how much of your actions are controlled by your psychological id, by your selfish desires in your heart. You'd be surprised. Even stuff that is not necessarily what you would equate as bad, you know, it's being controlled by things it shouldn't be being controlled by. But it's something to think about. It really is. But I hope y'all have a great evening. If you can't notice, I've been in a little bit of a psychological slump lately, mentally. Pray for me to be able to get myself out of that with meditation and self what's the word? Self-validation techniques, ways of making myself feel like I'm empowered, like I'm worth more than I think I'm worth. I have a lot of negative self-feedback in my brain right now, and it's dragging me down, and I need to get rid of that. So if any of y'all have any suggestions, I'm open to it. I'm not perfect. I'm human just like anybody else. But I hope y'all have a good night. I love y'all. Thanks for watching Reality Smack.